What's up guys, it's your boy Wolf back with another 7 Deadly Sins Origins video. Now in the comments on the last couple of videos, a lot of you have been asking, where should I spend my keys? What are the best places to use my keys? Where should I farm for which gear pieces, etc. So that's what we're here to talk about today, the best places to use your keys. Now, before we get into the video, I want to take a moment to say thanks to all the people who have left all the lovely comments in the last couple of videos. It really makes my day when I read those. I've been trying to take some time to respond to as many of them as I can. It makes all the effort worth it to know that you guys are enjoying the content, you're finding it useful. So I'm going to keep working hard to keep pushing out more content like that, and hopefully you guys will keep showing me that support. I appreciate it so much, it means a lot. Thank you. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, I thought about making this some kind of a tier list, but making it a tier list didn't make sense because you can't really compare some of these to the others because you kind of go into them for different reasons. The reason why you would spend your keys on them are different, so it's not fair to compare them. What I have done is separated them into categories and then put them in a specific order within those categories, and we'll explain those as we go through. Let's start at the top with dungeons. Now, dungeons, we've ranked Gila as the best, Spider is second, and Furzin is last. You'll notice that two of the dungeons I've actually dropped down into the Avoid tier. That's Mastery and Gold. Why have we dropped Mastery and Gold into the Avoid tier? Let's quickly get that out of the way. If we go back to our game for a second, you'll see that every bit of content we do, whether it's as small as the Elites, oh look, Mastery and Gold, World Bosses, Mastery and Gold, oh well, I guess let me turn myself off because you can't see me under there. Mastery, Gold on the World Boss. Mastery, Gold on the Elites. If we go back to our dungeons, Mastery XP, Gold. Same with our boss challenges, Mastery XP and Gold. Go to the Corrupted Dragon, Mastery XP, Gold. You are getting Mastery experience and Gold from every bit of content you do in the game. So having to spend extra keys on these two dungeons is overkill and is really not efficient use of your keys. It is an absolute waste. The only time you would ever probably spend your keys on this is if you're just starting the game and you're kind of doing it for the first time rewards. It's the only bit of content you have unlocked. Then maybe, yeah. If this is all you have access to, and especially if you're trying to do it for the first time rewards, then yeah, use your keys. But mid to late game, you pretty much never want to touch these at all, and you shouldn't need to at all. The first dungeon you want to focus all your efforts on, push as hard as you can, is Gila. Why Gila? Because Gila is not only going to give you a whole bunch of important stuff that you're going to need for other things, like your blueprints, especially if your weapon crafting blueprints, as well as all these other important things like your enchanting beads, master XP, weapon tier up stones and gold. The main reason is we want to farm for these pieces of gear, the Star Guardian bottoms and the Star Guardian combat boots. Why specifically these? Well, this kind of leads into why I put Spider second, and Spider is kind of the same value as Gila because she gives revived Nightmare top and revived Nightmare combat boots. And the reason why these gear pieces are so important is because if we come and talk to the engraved woman, you'll see that every legendary engraving for every character requires one of those two sets. So for Meliodas, this set requires the Star Guardian pieces, and the other one requires the revived Nightmare pieces. Now, so far, this is the easiest set to farm. It's also the better set mostly because of the stats you get. Because healing efficiency isn't something you really care about on your DPS characters. So you're better off taking barrier efficiency and the crit defense rather than the crit resistance and the healing efficiency. And this goes for a lot of the characters. You'll see that Diane has two different ones as well that uses HP. That uses the Star Guardian pieces and then one with the revived Nightmare pieces. Now, for some characters, obviously, there's an argument to be made that depending on the build you're using, one of them, the other one might make more sense. For example, if you're primarily using Diane with her nunchucks as a support, as a healer, then you could say that, okay, actually, I kind of maybe want this one instead. But if you're using Diane as a DPS like I am, then you probably want to go for this one. But they both have the same value. you're going to want to craft both of them eventually, probably. The only reason why Gila is above the spider in this tier list is because Gila is faster to progress as a dungeon. Gila is much easier to just skip from the start, skip all the little mobs in between, and get straight to the boss. You kind of just need to purify a couple of seeds and then jump through the hoops, and you're there. It takes maybe 10, 20 seconds to get to Gila from the start to getting to the boss, whereas Spider takes a bit longer. And it's that time efficiency that makes Gila a better dungeon to farm. She's more time efficient. Now, why is Furs and Mines third? Honestly, I kind of debated making Furs and Mines, putting Furs and Mines on the avoid list, but I didn't, mainly for one reason, and that's, well, actually kind of two reasons, but that's the early game. Early game, if you're not at the level where you can craft your legendary ones, but you are at a point where you could probably craft your purple one, Furs and Mines does give you the belt and trousers to help you craft the purple engraved equipment sets. The purple engraved equipment sets use this thunderous bottom set, blinding flash. So I can see an argument to be made for using Furs and Mines for that. I could also see an argument to be made that if you're using if you're using this Earth set, for some reason you need these two pieces of jewelry, then maybe. But it is so far below the other two in terms of value that you want to avoid it as much as possible. I was borderline between trying to put this in the avoid tier or not. I put it up here, gave it a bit of value just for this and mainly for the purple engraving set, but you kind of want to avoid this as much as possible. In terms of dungeons, the main one you want to farm is Gila and then Spider. Those are the two where you want to focus your keys mainly. And when it comes to the boss challenges, we're kind of in the same boat again. Obviously, you'll see that I've put 3 of them down in the avoid tier, and only 2 of them are actually worth farming. Now, why is that? Well, let's go back into the game and take a look at it. When it comes to our boss challenges, these 3 don't really provide anything of value. The gear pieces aren't that great, they're low item level, they don't have any value in terms of our engravings. It's a waste of keys. When it comes to Orgot, Orgot is the best, mainly because he gives us the Star Guardian top and Star Guardian belt. So he is the other half of that Gila farm. So the two that you want to focus mainly to farm your gear set to get your first engraving is Gila and Orgot, because he is going to give you 2 halves, 2 pieces of the 4 that you need for engraving. Gila's going to give you the other 2. So this is where you want to focus your keys if you're doing your boss challenges. Especially if you're farming for gear. If your goal right now is gear farming, trying to get engraved equipment, Gila and Orgot are by far the easiest, the quickest, most time efficient, and give you the best gear in terms of what your goal is. So that's when you want to farm. So again, with Corrupted Ancient Dragon, it's kind of like Spider. He's going to give you the other 2 pieces for your Revived Nightmare. Corrupted Dragon is also going to give you this Dragon's Fire Sack, which is what you're going to need if you're trying to craft Meliodas' exclusive longsword. So this is why you want to do the Corrupted Dragon. This is why it's kind of just below Orgot in terms of value. But these are the only 2 boss challenges you ever want to touch when you're doing these. And in terms of gear, again, you kind of want to only focus these 2, farm them up in pairs. So Orgot and Gila if you're farming for the Star Guardian set, and then Spider and Corrupted Dragon if you're doing the Revived Nightmare set. Those are the 2 that you want to focus for gear. Those are the 2 that you want to farm to get your engraved pieces. Now, if we go back to our tier list, that kind of explains the top 2 rows, the dungeons, boss challenges. I've again put them in order because, like I said, Furzin is down on the list because it's kind of the worst. Gila is above Spider and Orgot is above Dragon just because of the time taken to do those fights. The time efficiency versus what you're getting from it makes them just a bit better than the alternative. And also because most of the better engravings at the moment, from what I've seen from people and from what I've used myself from Meliodas' engraving, is the Star Guardian engravings. Because like I said, the engravings you get with the Revived Nightmare, the stats aren't the best. They're probably a bit more supportive. I'd have to do some more testing and have to see more people make them. But at the moment, the ones you want to focus mainly for engravings are Gila and Orgot to get the Star Guardian set. Now let's go into our field bosses. Why do we want to farm field bosses? Field bosses we're farming mainly because we want either the tokens to unlock mastery nodes, or we need the materials for crafting weapons, or we're farming for the fragment stones. And if you don't know what I mean by the fragment stones, let's get back into game for a second and go to our map. We're talking about these stones here, these premium destruction fragments, premium resolution fragments. If you're farming for these stones, these field bosses are what you want to be farming. Now, quick disclaimer, you're probably looking at your map and thinking, well, why those when you can get these premium fragments from the elite bosses as well and they cost 5 keys less? The reason is because of the available loot pool. When you do a world boss, you're pretty much getting one item guaranteed from every category of drop. So you're going to get one of these enhancement stones. You're guaranteed to get your hero's token. You're guaranteed to get a gear drop, whether that's one of these 4 legendary pieces or one of these 2 purple. You're guaranteed to get your main material, your purple tokens, and your master XP. You're also guaranteed to get 1 fragment. Now, the nice thing about doing it on a world boss is that because you're guaranteed to get 1 fragment and the pool only has the highest tier, it means you're guaranteed one of the highest tier of these stones. Now, obviously, there's RNG involved in terms of which one you get. You might get one of these 2, but you might want one of these 2, which is the situation I'm facing now. But you will guaranteed get one of the highest tier. Whereas if you do an elite boss, you'll notice that the blue ones are also in the loot pool now, which means that not only do you have to roll RNG on which one you get, but now you have to roll RNG on which tier it is. So now there's twice the amount of luck involved, which is why if you're farming for stones, make sure that you're farming your field bosses, your world bosses. So that's the Scorpy, the Grey Demon, your Red Demon over here, the big turtle dude, Banner Crow down here, and then finally your Toad all the way up in the Fairy King's Forest. Those are the 5 bosses that you want to be farming for stones. You're also farming these for these main materials that they drop, because these are what you use to craft your SR weapons and SSR weapons. And then you're farming these if you want your heroes tokens to unlock mastery nodes. And then you're getting some mastery XP, some gold, some other stuff that is useful along the way. Now let's go back to the tier list and let's talk about why I've put them in the order that I have. The reason why is, again, you can't really tier them because depending on the materials you need, you're going to go into all of them eventually. If you need Scorpy materials, then even if Scorpy's at the end of this list, you're going to need Scorpy materials. He's the only one that gives them, you're going to do them. But I have put them in an order because if you're not farming them for their material specifically and you're farming them for something like stones, for example, or hero tokens, then there is a priority in terms of efficiency. Red Demon is by far the easiest and quickest of the field bosses to fight. He is like, you can literally, with a good team, take him down in 15 to 20 seconds, maybe faster, maybe a bit slower, but it is easily the easiest of the 5 bosses. Banner Crow is not that far behind. It is incredibly easy to beat this guy. The only reason why he takes a bit longer is because depending on how much damage you're able to do, you might hit a phase where you kind of have to wait for him to get his big tsunami out of the way before you can start doing damage to him again. Grey Demon and the Toad are a bit below that. They're a bit longer and a bit more annoying than these two. I put Grey Demon just below Toad because while I would kind of rate them about the same in terms of timing and difficulty, Grey Demon does have a phase where he starts doing this massive attack. And if you can do enough damage in time, then you can kind of interrupt the attack and stagger him. But depending on how much damage you can do early on, you might not be able to get the stagger, which means you kind of have to run out of the AoE, wait for the attack to go off before going back in. It can be a bit annoying and take a bit more time. So that's the only reason why he's up there. He also flies into the air a lot, which can get annoying because then you kind of have to wait for him to finish his airborne mechanics and come back down before you hit him. Um, so that's why he's down there just below the Toad, but they're kind of equal in terms of difficulty and timing. Scorpy is the worst. Scorpy is the most annoying of the bosses. Scorpy is also particularly a bit harder to do if you do not have Jericho and Manny, because he has increased resistance to every element except cold. So if you have cold units, you're not going to struggle as much with Scorpy. You're going to struggle a bit more if you don't have any cold units. Scorpy is annoying as well because not only does he do a lot of damage, but he also he goes into the air and does his sandstorms. He jumps up and crashes back down on the ground a lot. And then he has his whole phase where he disappears and you have to wait to watch where the wind is blowing from and then dodge as he comes in out of nowhere. So he's more annoying, he's more difficult. That's why he's at the end. In terms of timing and efficiency, he is the worst. So if you're farming for stones, if you're farming for your tokens, you kind of want to maybe just focus on doing Red Demon or just Red Demon and the Turtle. Maybe you want to focus on doing all of them, but in this particular order so that you're using your time efficiently. Or you just want to do maybe the first three and just rotate those three or something. But obviously, like I said, they all still give different main materials. If you need Scorpion materials for your weapon, you're going to have to farm Scorpion. So that's why it's not in its own tier, but that should give you a general idea of efficiency with timing, depending on what you're farming for. Now let's go to elite bosses. Elite bosses is going to be a very simple category to go over because there's no particular order here. The only reason why you would ever use your keys on elite bosses is because you need their specific material for your masteries. Because all the other materials and things that you get from elite bosses, you can get from everywhere else as well. So the only reason why you farm these is for their specific materials. And because it's so specific, there's no reason to compare them and rank them against each other. They're all incredibly easy. There's no timing problems with them. So there's no reason to rank them. And then obviously we've gone over these two in the avoid tier. Let's go over the three boss challenges that I didn't mention in the avoid tier real quick. Why do we want to avoid those three boss challenges? The reason, honestly, is quite simple. They have no value. Albion, only decent piece of gear, legendary piece of gear he drops is this necklace, and we don't really care too much about the legendary jewelry. You get legendary jewelry from other places that also drop more important pieces, like for example the corrupted dragon, who drops this legendary necklace, these legendary earrings, while still dropping revived nightmare pieces. Albion is useless. The only reason why you would use this is one, if you're very early game and he is the only bit of content you have unlocked, if this is like the very beginning of your account, or two, you want to do each difficulty just once to grab the first time rewards. If you're doing it for the first time rewards, definitely go grab those star fragments. I did it myself. But mid to late game, you kind of never want to be touching Albion again. Same with the corrupted Guardian Golem. There is absolutely no reason to be touching this mid to late game. He offers nothing of value. Same with Drake. There's zero value in doing this. He doesn't offer anything decent. None of the gear pieces contribute to engraved equipment or any sets in any way. He only offers the purple mastery as well, which compared to Orgot and the corrupted dragon, who provide the legendary level, it's just not, the value in terms of your key usage is bad. The gear isn't good. The drops are lower tiered. It's a waste of your keys. So the only two boss challenges you want to focus on are these two for the reasons I've mentioned earlier. These three mid to late game you definitely want to avoid. That should hopefully streamline your key usage a lot, because now we've basically boiled it down to kind of four things we could say. When it comes to your masteries, you're looking at your elite bosses and your field bosses. Elite bosses are specific. Field bosses you're doing for your stones and your hero tokens, or if you need specific materials for your weapons. When it comes to dungeons and boss challenges, you're kind of mainly just focusing on these four. These two if you need Star Guardian pieces, these two if you need Revived Nightmare. Now your key usage is extremely streamlined. Now you know exactly what to do, where to go, what to get. Hopefully that helps you guys. I've done quite a bit of key farming this week. Obviously, if you're farming this week, and if you're especially in the mid to end game, then this week they've been really nice to us, giving us bonus 20 keys every day. So hopefully you're all making good use of that. And I'm probably going to maybe do some kind of a 2-week account review, show you guys where I'm at, how much I've done since I started my account 2 weeks ago, and maybe talk you through some of the decisions I made, some of the thought process I had behind why I did what I did, and maybe those things will help you out as well. So stay tuned, that will be coming up soon. Hopefully this video helped you. I'm going to leave the screen here like this for a second, so if you guys want to take a quick screenshot or something, take a picture of this tier list, feel free. That's it from me for today, guys. Peace out.